That's like I guess a personal struggle, right? With fighting other nafs is you know the things that trigger you, right? And the things that you shouldn't do, but sometimes you put yourself in that situation to be like, oh, like I want that, right? But then there's other things that don't trigger that part of your nafs or your ego or your desires, and it's very good for you because it doesn't trigger like for instance, like it doesn't trigger like that lust. It triggers, you know, certain women will trigger lust, right? Whereas another woman triggers something spiritual in you. So do you go with a woman that doesn't trigger lust but rather triggers a spiritual flame within you? You know what I'm saying? So maybe y'all connect more on that level, but you don't connect so much because y'all don't know each other. You know what I'm saying? Like like what's the difference between like, man, I saw this Instagram model and like I'm feeling the type of way, versus, man, I see this girl right here and like I like what she talks about, like she triggers something different in you even though it's not the sexual nature. You get what I'm saying?
I mean, I think with the one that has more lust behind it, that triggers more just the eyes, right? It's the visual, it's the optics portion of it. But when somebody makes you feel good overall, just inside your being, I mean, that I feel like that's hard to find, because you can't find that just scrolling through Instagram, but you can find that like listening to something, feeling something. So I think it's just an overall sensation compared to the lust, where it's just one factor. You know what I'm saying? Yeah. But lust can be very, what can I say?
It's persuasive.
I was about to say very. I was gonna say demanding, but it's like I said, not only is it very persuasive, but it can play like a large portion of it, because a lot of the stuff that we do, whether it's society, whether just the world, is driven by lust, you know. So the lust is on the forefront of everything: media, movies, games. So when that gets triggered, I feel like that they hit on it hard. You know what I'm saying? It
makes a strong influence in your decision making, and so that's why I say it's a fight against the nafs, because your nafs are inclined to go towards that thing, whereas the spiritual part of you is like, man, like I want this person because it's something more intriguing to me than just the sexual aspect of what a relationship could be, or what and it doesn't have to even be like a marriage or anything. It could just be like a friendship, right? Let's be honest, some of us are friends with people because they fine as hell. So it's like I'm around you because you elicit a different type of emotion within me that makes me want to be around you. And inshallah, one day it could turn out to be something dope, because either you got interest or whatever it is. But you know, what we were saying off camera kind of just led into this, is fighting the nafs when you're in a situation that your nafs is usually triggered by, that part of you is triggered by, that isn't. I look at the nafs as being something that is opposing to your original nature. Your nafs is built up over, you know, the outside forces, whereas I don't know the word for it, but there's the nafs, and then there's like the opposite, where the nafs is kind of like your ego self of this world, and then there's the spiritual part of you that Allah has created in pureness for you to fight against the nafs. Your nafs is built up from, you know, other people's opinions and the way of the world. Like when you have a cold heart, that's like part of your nafs fighting against you, to try and make you cold against people and things like that. So yeah, it's just interesting, man. And I think, you know, everybody has that battle with their thing. You know what I'm saying? And trying to not let their nafs win over them. That someone said something interesting. I'm on the app Clubhouse. Really, you know, it's pretty dope. And someone was like, you know, like I just feel like if it makes me feel good, I should do it. And I'm like, well, that's the opposite of Islam, because Islam isn't about just doing what feels good for you, because like drinking feels good, but it doesn't mean that it's right. You know what I'm saying? So it's like there's a lot of things in this world that feels good that really isn't good for us, and Allah forbids it for whatever reason, so that you can feel more pleasure in the pain and the suffering of going towards the things that are good for you. Because when you get the things, what they say, all good things come take time, right? All good things take time. So when we're in such a culture where it's like rush to get this, or everything's instantaneous, instant pleasure, instant gratification, when you get the thing that's actually worth that time, it doesn't feel as good. Right? We'll take sex for example. Cool, you have sex all the time, you get any girl or any guy that you want. All right, then when you finally get married to someone who you're like, oh man, like, this is great, it's not as enjoyable, because what if you get with this person and it's not as good as, you know, someone else you were with X, Y, and Z time ago, you know what I mean? So it's like you ruin the blessing that Allah eventually gives you, because you're trying to feed your NAFS. You're trying to feed a beast that is insatiable. You know what I'm saying? Like, your NAFS can never get full. No, it's always going. It's always wants more. It's greedy. That's why greed is a sin. Greed can never be satiated.
No, I mean, and you can. It's a beast, like you said. Your bro's gonna have to continuously be fed, right? And it's never gonna get full. But I want to go back to what you said earlier. I'm sure people know this. Maybe they don't. Beautiful people with a great personality get what they want, right? Whether it's at work, whether it's at the store, you just know if somebody is, you know, handsome, or if somebody's beautiful, they have a great personality, they can persuade people and they get what they want. It could be in this world, right? Whether they are conniving or not, but to find somebody that not only can do that, but people just like being around them, just in general, because they have the good internal being inside themselves and a good soul, then they attract certain type of people, and they don't need anything from anybody else, you know. And that comes from God, because at that point it's like you're not asking for anything. And when you are so focused on things that look good and feel good, just like in the song of Pursuit of Happiness, not everything that shine is going to be gold, right? So when you're chasing that stuff, it's only for you. It's for your, that's why it's NAFS. That's why it's like nafsi. And that's how human beings are made. That's why we're made. We always think about ourselves. Like
selfish.
Yeah, that's all we think about. But when we can get out of that shell and think more about other people, that's where we'll find God, you know. But when we think about ourselves and fill our ego, that's where like the devil really like lives, and everybody goes through it, right? Because you're just like, you know, I want to live for myself, I want to take care of myself, I want to do this. You can still do those things, always put yourself first, but to what extent, right? To what, like, if you do this thing and it puts you on top, it's gonna hurt everybody else. So I remember a few days, Jarrell, this might be going off topic a little bit, we were talking about different projects that we wanted to do, and then you like, yeah, but I also want to get my people paid, you know what I'm saying? Which is like, that's from God, because you're feeding somebody else's family, and you may be taking a little bit more out of your pocket, but you don't know what's gonna come for you in the next world, you know what I'm saying?
All right, thanks everybody for watching the clip from this excellent episode. If you guys loved it, make sure you guys go and subscribe. So over in this area. And if you guys want to watch more of these clips and full-length videos, you can go right over here. Alright. So, watch the video.